You don't even know how to apologize properly to women. Not that you need to, because you're actually a kind and caring man. And most likely in your past relationships with women, you apologized a lot, and she probably didn't apologize enough, right? You still aren't skilled enough at actually apologizing, which sometimes does create conflict. Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of nonviolent communication, had a system, he had a process on how to apologize. I want to share that process here with you, and then expand from there onto a slightly longer, it won't be that long, couple of minutes, longer discussion about needs and effective communication in relationships. If you don't take what I'm teaching you here serious today, you will lose relationships. Trust me, you will lose some very valuable relationships unnecessarily, because no matter how compatible you are, conflict is bound to happen at some point. How do most people apologize? Sorry, shouldn't have done that. Oh, well, fantastic. That's okay. But even just, first of all, apologizing at all is great. But there's levels to the game. Marshall Rosenberg's formula for apologizing is the following. Let's say you and I are supposed to meet and I come 45 minutes late, which obviously wouldn't happen, but let's assume it were to happen. If I heard you say, I'm sorry, it's okay. But you've heard that so many times, so you don't really take it that serious. It doesn't really hit emotionally. If I were to say, listen, I was late 30 minutes. I probably wasted a lot of your time, 30, 45 minutes. Your time is very valuable, okay? You are probably upset, pissed off. You probably hate me right now. Exaggerate a bit. For you, I think it's extremely important to be respected, right? You have a need to be respected. Slightly different phrasing. I'm going into the formula here. I promise you, first of all, I'm extremely sorry. This shouldn't have happened. This will never happen again. And let me take you out for dinner. Let me do something to show you that this wasn't okay. That's the rough formula, okay? Now you're not sure, David, who talks like this? Well, you could. What are the elements? You say, you describe objectively what happened. I was late. You own it. You were probably actions, feelings, needs, sorry, concrete, next steps, or amends. So, I was late, I wasted your time, right? Or consequence, you address the consequence here, right? I wasted your time, you're probably super pissed off, you really probably hate me right now. And you deserve to be treated with respect. It is not respectful, and especially somebody like you, you're used to people being on time, right? This will never happen again. Please let me take you out for dinner to show you that I'm really serious about this, or XYZ, right? That is how you're supposed to apologize, no matter what comes up. Now, let's say somebody does something to you that you don't like. This is where you mess up really sometimes. How do you address that? That can be in a business context, by the way, in a dating context, and in a different relationship context. Let's say somebody is late. A girl or somebody at work, and you just say, what the fuck, be on time? And I'm a fan of simplistic communication, or rather simplified communication. You know, I always talk about not being filtered, simplifying, but there's also a level of effectiveness to communication if you don't want to step on people's toes, if you don't want to rub people the wrong way. So what you can then say, what most people do is, you're late, that's disrespectful, you piss me off. Or that pissed me off that you were late. You attack and you blame. What happens when you attack somebody or you blame somebody? Their defense mechanisms come up. They find reasons to attack, if not you, at the very least, the blame itself. So here's the way on how to address anything that somebody does that pisses you off where you need to set a boundary. You were 30 minutes late. That's objective facts. You describe in facts, not interpretation, as factually as humanly possible what actually occurred. You were 30 minutes late. Next step, feelings. How do you feel? I was angry. I was pissed off. Not saying you pissed me off, because technically nobody can make you feel anything. Not you triggered me, you trigger yourself. You were 30 minutes late, I was pissed off. And then I have a need for. You describe your need. For me, it's important that you don't actually need to use the word need. We can say that for me, I have a need to be respected. It's a bit off, so you do want to be a little bit human. You could say, for me, it's very important that when we agree on a time, that you come up. Look, something can always happen, but that There evidently wasn't a black swan event that caused you being 30, 45 minutes late today. And now, concrete requests, very important. In order to give people the ability to change and improve their behaviors, you have to give them a concrete request, which is, in the future, when we meet, please be on time. That way, you've given the other person the least possible cannon fodder to get upset about. The least material, the littlest friction points possible. So, or for example, she raises her voice at you. By the way, if a woman raises her voice at you, if that's a habit she has, remember everything in the universe happens in patterns, which means if she does it now, she's done it before, she's going to do it again. Find a woman who just doesn't do that, okay? Very important side gold nugget here. But let's say somebody raises their voice. You say, "You yelled at me. I was pissed off. That hurt me." Great. Very attacking. You can just say, when we're having this conversation, you raised your voice. Your voice got pretty loud. I felt anger and stress inside of me when you did that. I have a need to feel respected in a conversation. For me, it's extremely important that, if you don't want to use the word need, but you're expressing a need, for me, it's extremely important that don't get yelled at. You can use that, but again, that's almost accusatory again. For me, it's extremely important that I have conversations in a harmonious and civil and respectful manner. So in the future, you can address anything with me. And if I ever do anything wrong to you, please do tell me. But in the future, please don't raise your voice. Oop, perfect. You use this formula where you seek first to understand, then to be understood. You admit your wrongdoings, obviously. That's something that we haven't even addressed. It's something we can touch on in a minute. You use this formula, you will save so many relationships. So many relationships are dying, not just because of a lack of compatibility. Yeah, that's the number one reason. But there's also plenty that go down the drain because of a lack of communication skills in a professional environment and a dating context, even though the way you communicate in a professional context and a dating context is different. But so many relationships get lost, and it's just sad because you have so many memories with that person, and just because you weren't able to communicate effectively, you lost that relationship. So many beautiful experiences, and at the very least, you lost happiness and love. Whenever there is a conflict, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. I'm not making this up. This is from How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the Bibles in personal development. I would encourage you to seek the fault with yourself first, then with the other person, and you can make conflicts disappear. The second the other person feels understood, not just women, by the way, men as well, conflicts can disappear. If you address the obvious, if you say something like, "You probably hate me right now. I made a mistake. You probably really hate me right now." And then they're like, well, if you hadn't even addressed the fact that they anger at you, but then you exaggerate and you go, "You hate me right now?" They're like, well, I don't hate you, but, we're getting closer together. Look, I've been late before plenty of times. I've done this, XYZ, da-da-da-da-da. This is where I went wrong. And you address yours first, then you explain how that negatively impacted them. And then you share yours. Most conflicts will absolutely disappear if you're compatible with that person, if you're dealing with a semi-normal human being. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Use the formula of describing objectively what happens, feelings, needs, concrete requests. And by the way, if you're a man who's doing well in your career or your business, and you want to find the right girlfriend or wife, and you would like me to help you with that personally, click the link underneath this video or in my bio and apply for a free initial consultation. Looking forward to speaking with you soon. Take care.